Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I aim to demonstrate why consensus is often wrong. We're going to take a look at Draft Shark's rookie ADP from Superflex 0.5 tight premium formats, and then we're going to take a look at current KTC values for such rookies, the top 24 rookies currently, and we're going to figure out just how much players have risen or fallen or potentially even stayed the same from where they were drafted converse to where they are valued now. And so once again, this is only going to be a one-year sample size, but if you go back year after year after year after year, you are going to find that the consensus opinion pre-draft or even post-draft, but pre-season, is going to have been wildly different from what actually happened and where players were valued after the rookie seasons. And now we're only 11 weeks into the season, so some values are going to change, but I just want to demonstrate how different the values were pre-draft to where they are now. And so once again, taking a look at Draft Shark's Superflex 0.5 tight end premium ADP. At the 101, we had Genty. Makes sense. Top end of the first round rookie running back. Very talented. I definitely understand the thought process with that. The situation was going to be pretty bad, but the hope was that he would overcome it and the draft capital would give him, a lot of security and volume. At 2, we had Omarion Hampton. A little bit of a later first-round pick, but did walk into a much, much, much better situation, to be fair. Generally regarded as a lesser talent to Genty, but quite talented in his own right. At 3, we had Travis Hunter, the ultimate two-way player, a generational prospect, and I'm serious, generational in that he was a true two-way player. At 4, we had Tetroy McMillan, somebody who pre-draft, he was allegedly going to fall, yet there's been plenty of reports that multiple teams are trying to trade up to draft him inside the top 10, and ultimately he was selected 8th overall by the Panthers. Then we had Travion Henderson, who slipped down to pick 38 to the Patriots. He was kind of being steamed up to a potential late first-round pick, but I think he went reasonably close to where he should have. And the situation is also regarded as pretty terrible, and I think the Patriots have definitely surprised people, but once again, that's another reason why consensus isn't always accurate. At 6, we had Quinshawn Judkins, kind of same situation where it was regarded as kind of a poor situation to go into, but, at least he was going to be a bell cow. And that part is definitely kind of held up so far once he came back from the little bit of a legal issue he had at the very, very beginning of the season. Then we had Cam Ward, who, despite being a first overall pick at quarterback, the situation was just so abysmal that in a lot of drafts where that guy might have gone 101 or at least top 3, he was slipping, and I saw that in every single one of my drafts. I think the earliest he went in a 12 team was 4th overall. Then we had Tyler Warren, picked 8th overall. He was selected by the Colts in the first half of the first round after Colston Loveland. The thought process was there's a lot of weapons there. And despite, being a first round pick, he was a little bit of a late breakout. So that has turned out to be a little bit interesting. We'll see where he's ranked in a minute. Then we had RJ Harvey, somebody who, to a lot of people, came out of nowhere. I was very high on him pre-draft, and the draft capital and landing spot kind of made me quite high on him personally. But he was selected 9th overall. Caleb Johnson went 10th. He had a dominant season as a true junior at Iowa. And the Pittsburgh Steelers were regarded as a relatively open running back room that under Arthur Smith would like to have a zone running scheme, and he could potentially get a significant amount of volume. Then we had Emeka Egbuka, somebody who was regarded as a very safe but potentially not the high ceiling type of prospect coming out, but coming from a long line of really good receivers from The Ohio State University. He went into a landing spot where, they theoretically had Mike Evans and Chris Godwin already there. So it was regarded as potentially kind of a Roma Dunze JSN type of situation by a lot of people. We'll see how that turned out. And then finally, we had Colston Loveland at 12th overall. He's a tight end, but kind of, potentially a Trey McBride type of situation where there was definitely a solid tight end in Cole Kmet ahead of him, initially at least, but he was generally regarded as the better receiving tight end immediately, pretty much. And it just might take a minute for him to get going due to how many studs they have in that passing game, and Caleb Williams struggles with consistency. Moving on to the second round at 13, we have Matthew Golden going on average at the 201. The Packers, at least in my opinion, was a dreadful landing spot. He was kind of a late riser in the draft process because he never really truly broke out exactly for a full season. He did come on strong towards the latter half of his true junior season, though, once Isaiah Bond went down with injury, and he did get the first round draft capital that we love. But we'll see where he's ranked. At 14, we had Cam Scadaboo, somebody who didn't go to the best school in and of itself, but had a ton of production, including over 600 receiving yards this past collegiate season. Somebody named Jaden Higgins went 15th overall. He was PFF's #1 graded wide receiver this past season. He went at the top of the second round to the Texans, rather. And he was kind of regarded as a potential JSN type of situation because Nico Collins was there. They also drafted Jalen Knoll, his teammate at Iowa State. At 16th overall, we have Luther Burden, kind of a JSN situation, Rome Odunze type of situation, funnily enough, because he went to the Bears, where they already have a ton of assets and they already just had selected a first-round tight end. Jackson Dart, regarded as potentially, some people viewed him as a first-round quarterback at the very end. Some people thought maybe second or third round. The Giants did end up trading up into the end of the first round to secure him, but the situation was regarded as just absolutely abysmal outside of Scadaboo if you believed in him. Tracy's all right. The line, besides their left tackle, leaves a lot to be desired, and then he did have at least Malik Neighbors on paper, and Theo Johnson's fine, right? But overall, not deemed as a particularly good landing spot. Trey Harris went to the Chargers. Like many of the guys ahead of him, tons of assets there in terms of playmakers. You had your Quentin Johnson, Ladd McConkey, Keenan Allen, and then they also drafted Amari and Hampton. So a bit of a crowded situation there in terms of pecking order for him. Jack Besh, he was going to be behind Jacoby Myers. And obviously, a Raiders offense with a bad offensive line, Geno Smith at quarterback, and Chip Kelly at OC. I think that he was a little bit of a less highly regarded prospect by a lot of people, but some people who watched film were significantly higher on him. Bashal Tutin, somebody that was extremely explosive, I was very high on, performed extremely well at the combine, went to Jacksonville. He was a priority add by their GM. That was part of his plan where he was looking to be hired as their GM, was to aim for Tutin specifically. He was selected in the 4th round behind ETN, so the immediate outlook wasn't looking particularly great, but very explosive guy in a Liam Cohen offense, and that spells success if he were to get the volume right. Kyle Williams, somebody that, the Patriots receiving core was deemed as a wide open space. I thought so personally, and the tape was very good on him. He went in the 3rd round, not the best draft capital. I was really hoping for 2nd round for him. But connected to an up-and-coming quarterback in Drake May, so there was a lot of hype around him. Jaden Blue, somebody that I personally wasn't as high on. He never really took over the backfield. It was just because everyone in front of him was injured, and he kind of was benched for fumbling issues at times. So, but going to the Cowboys, they were also regarded as being a potential high-scoring offense. And then he was very, very fast in a straight line at the combine. So there was some potential for him to have some explosive weeks was the thought process there. Mason Taylor going to a wide open room. The community wasn't particularly high on Justin Fields, but you could still probably do worse at quarterback, funnily enough. But Mason Taylor went in the 2nd round. He got the draft capital. In terms of, assets he had to contend with in the passing game, it was really Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall if Justin Fields isn't running the football. And then finally, we had Jalen Milroe, somebody that if he were to hit, could potentially be a 1st-round startup pick if Sam Darnold flamed out, and then Milroe was to take over and play well and secure the QB1 job. The run game would be absolutely explosive. And admittedly, while the chances of him starting weren't particularly great given that they had just signed Darnold, the upside was absolutely there if that were to happen. And compared to where was going at ADP, if he were to smash, probably would have been the best value in rookie drafts. And I want to give a special shout out to my Patreon members. Thank you to Big Hunt, SP, Mage Jack, Infamy MTG, AOYOB, and The Dawn. Without your support, this would not be possible. As you're probably well aware if you've been watching my videos for a while, I cannot get monetized because of the film breakdowns I do, and even just the little videos I have where I have clips of plays in them. They get demonetized every single time, making it therefore impossible to collect any revenue. So obviously your support is greatly appreciated. And if you are so inclined to become a member, the perks would be you will get access to a private Discord where we have both a real life and fantasy football chat, as well as a voice chat if you just don't want to have to type a bunch of stuff. I'll also give you detailed roster breakdowns and roster reviews where we talk about the strengths and weaknesses of your team. Then we kind of break it down further by looking into the scoring settings themselves and the starting lineup requirements to help you build the best team to help you dominate for years to come. In both Dynasty and then in Redraft, obviously, I'd help you with a good solid game plan, especially if you know where you're drafting from. Then also give you detailed trade advice based on your specific league settings to help you dominate. Also give you access to private live streams and the ability to not only see videos at least one day early, but also the ability to suggest videos that you would like to be created. So if you would like to support the channel, I would really appreciate it. If not, just please like and subscribe. Let's get back to the video. And so now let's take a look at what KTC has currently in terms of general public consensus valuation of these players. Well, at the number 1 spot, we have Emeka Egbuka. He was generally the wide receiver 3 selected, so that's interesting. Tyler Warren is in a half-point premium superflex setting, by the way, for all of these guys, is regarded in terms of total value as the number 2 asset. Ashton Genty fell from 101 to 103 in terms of total value. Jackson Dart went way up in value. McMillan's relatively close to the same. Hampton slipped a little bit due to injury, in my opinion. Henderson slipped just a little bit because he didn't really get going for a while, but has exploded recently. Judkins smashed pretty much immediately, has kind of fallen off in terms of his production the last little bit, but still a fine start, obviously, and tons of talent and upside, and he'll be fine for the future, in my opinion. Rondé Gadsden came out of completely nowhere in terms of where his ADP was, and then where his current value lies. Colson Loveland has seen a slight increment in total value, but not a ton, to be fair. Cam Scadaboo has risen a little bit, but also his value is being depressed because of that injury. And then finally, we have Travis Hunter. Now, his ADP was a wide range of outcomes in any individual rookie draft, in my opinion. And from what I saw, where you had to have the conviction that he was going to get enough wide receiver snaps and be good enough as a wide receiver to maintain his value. If you were in an IDP league and you could slot him in while getting wide receiver production and defensive production, that's a cheat code potentially for you. And so as you can see, these rankings differ vastly from ADP at the time of rookie drafts. And now we take a look at the second round. RJ Harvey is at the top here at pick 13. He's fallen a little bit in terms of value converse to his ADP, but not very much. Harold Fannin has risen tremendously. You can go back. I was on record as saying he was the best rookie pick in the third round of your rookie drafts. Smash. Cam Ward has fallen significantly. His ADP was 7th overall. He's now gone down to 15th. Luther Burden is maybe slipped a little bit, but he's pretty much the same. The value's been pretty insulated for him. Matthew Golden has fallen from pick 13 to 17, so about not quite half a round. Mason Taylor is doing fine. Woody Marks came out of nowhere because he was given a shot. Kyle Monungai, same story. Jaden Higgins has slipped from around the top of the second round down to near the bottom at pick 21. Bashal Tootin is, I believe, relatively close. I think he was 23rd or 24th, so basically the same. Torrey Horton has come out of nowhere for the Seahawks, and Elijah Arroyo has creeped up a little bit too. And so we see, even in round 2, a lot of difference here in real value right now in terms of the consensus valuation of these guys converse to ADP. And now I wanted to chart it out so it could look a little bit better and be easier to read between the two. So I have them ranked by their current keep trade cut valuation. So Emeka Egbuka's at the top and Elijah Arroyo's at the bottom. Then in the next column, I have their rookie ADP per Draft Sharks, and once again, a Superflex 0.5 tight end premium. And then I have the difference between their ADP rank and their current KTC valuation. And so we see that Emeka Egbuka, who was 11th in ADP, has risen 10 spots to number 1. We see that Tyler Warren, who was selected 8th, has risen up to 2nd, so that's a +6 there. We see that Genty, who was the ADP of 1, has gone down to 3, so that's only a loss of 2 spots. His value is pretty insulated. We see Jackson Dart, who was selected 17th overall in terms of general ADP, has gone all the way up to 4th with a rise of 13 spots here. McMillan, who was selected 4th, is 5th right now, so a loss of 1, but still relatively the same, so that was still looking like a good pick. Marion Hampton slipped from 2 to 6, a loss of 4. I think that'll return. I think he'll rise up a little bit once he gets a return to action after the Chargers bye, but still. Trey Van Henderson has fallen from 5th to 7th, so that's a loss of 2 spots. Now, the slow start definitely got to him, but he's exploded recently, so he's making a bit of a rebound there. Quinshon Judkins went 6th overall. He's slipped to 8th, a loss of 2. He came out of the gate really strong, but is not fallen off because, he's still performing fine, but hasn't been, a consistent weekly RB1, but the future is still bright for him, and he's really talented. Then we have Oronde Gadsden. He's gone from 51st all the way up to 9th. That is the single individual largest jump in rankings. That's 42 total spots. We have Loveland, who has gone from 12th to 10th, so he's actually risen up too, despite not really flashing a ton of production so far. Cam Scatterbu went from 14th to 11th, so that's a rise of only 3 spots, but I think the injury's kind of, once again, depressing the value there. Travis Hunter has fallen from 3rd to 12th. That's a loss of 9 spots. That is actually the single largest fall in value. Once again, he was a little bit of a controversial pick. You had to have belief that he was going to get the wide receiver snaps, but obviously getting injured was one of the concerns, and that's exactly what happened. Non-contact, though, to be fair. Then we have RJ Harvey, who slipped from 9th to 13th. That's a loss of 4. I think he's going to gain some value because J.K. Dobbins is going to be out now. So I think he's going to be a riser, to be fair, but not a tremendous loss in value, right? Fannin, who once again I said was the best pick in the 3rd round of your rookie drafts, has gone from 35th up to 14th. That's a rise of 21 total spots in KTC value, converts to ADP once again. Luther Burden has gone from 16th to 16th. No change there. That's solid. Matthew Golden has slipped from 13th to 17th. The landing spot just has not been ideal. He's been missed on a couple of very long touchdowns that would have made great weeks for us in fantasy. I don't really think it's a talent question as much as just the offense in general. Then we have Mason Taylor, who's gone from 23rd up to 18th, so a rise of 5 spots. Being in an offense that doesn't have a lot of talent around them in terms of the passing game has definitely helped him out, and he's a good player. Then we have Woody Marks, who's gone from 43rd up to 19th. That's a rise of 24 spots. Opportunity is definitely at play here, but he does look like their best running back, in my opinion. Manungai has gone from 48th all the way up to 20th. That's a rise of 28 spots. He definitely took advantage of the great matchup against Cincinnati, and then has now kind of firmly established himself, but he was already doing so kind of in a Montgomery type of role to DeAndre Swift's Gibbs, and they're both the light versions, obviously, but still great, significant raise in value. Then Jaden Higgins has gone from 15th down to 21st, a loss of 6 spots. Being in an offense that's been inconsistent and being distinctly behind Nico Collins in the pecking order kind of will do that to you. Bashal Tutin's gone from 20th down to 22nd. There's a chance for him to break out, but that's not a tremendous loss of value, to be fair, either. Torrey Horton's gone from 44th overall all the way up to 23rd. So that is a raise or a rise of 21 total spots of value. And finally, Elijah Arroyo's gone from 30th up to 24th. And so that's a rise of 6 total spots. But once again, I just want you to see the difference in terms of ADP versus current valuation of these players. There's so much that goes into it that it's really, really basically impossible to completely guess correctly where we should be taking these guys. We have a decent foundation if you really know what you're doing as to kind of how to assess players in terms of their actual talent, and then a couple of other factors like projected opportunity, draft capital. There's a lot that goes into it, but I just hope this shows you that consensus is not accurate. And so once again, I just want to mention that consensus is often going to be wrong. So when you see people make videos and they have their own convictions about players, they could very well be right despite what the general consensus thinks about these players. So I'm going to be grading all of these incoming 26 rookies and 27s and so on and so forth after their junior years or seniors, when they declare for the actual draft. and try to break down some film for you, go over their advanced stats, and then we'll, after they're drafted, take a look at their draft capital and their situation and projected opportunity. But just understand that when I don't follow consensus or when other people don't either, they have their own convictions and they could very well be right no matter what you think post-draft, but before the actual season. Injuries will happen. Players will get opportunities. Some players will make the most of them. Some players just were overdrafted or potentially just aren't good fits for the role in which they're going to be given at the NFL level. Quarterbacks in particular are brutal to try to project as to what they're going to be at the next level. Very challenging. But once again, if you look at previous years in terms of the value of these players now, or even after the rookie season, to be fair and compare it kind of one for one, converse to where they were drafted in terms of their ADP, there's going to be a wide variety of differences with every single draft year. So in the future, when you see rookie rankings and they're not exactly close to consensus, if the person can give a decent explanation as to why they have certain beliefs about where players should be ranked, it might be a good idea to listen to them and really, for your own sake, form your own opinion. Look at different resources. Try to get every single factor you could possibly think of for every one of these players to come to a conclusion, and try to save yourself the trouble of drafting somebody that might end up being a bust, even if ADP and general consensus says that they're a good player. So yeah, let me know what you think below. I thought this was an interesting video idea. I'll be curious what you guys think. If you would like to support the channel, feel free to subscribe to my Patreon. I'm trying to do this full time, so I would really appreciate your support. If you cannot or do not wish to, if you could just like the video, subscribe to the channel, share it with a friend, I'd really appreciate it. It would help in the algorithm. So yeah, without further ado, I hope you guys have a good day, and I hope you smash your fantasy championships this year.